I and Earl Calloway, where are you, Earl? Back there. Caraway has, like in Dave Caraway, have thrown our hats into the ring, as it were, to be candidates for the presidency of the campus. So we want to talk with you tonight for the first few minutes about why we think we're good candidates and to get some feedback from you, and we have invited the 49er to be here as well. So we've got a reporter, photographer, and then our own camera person, Kathy, doing the honor. So, Brian, I turn things over to Brian later.
Do you have a marker for the ballot line?
Yes, I do. Do I have a marker? And some more markers.
Oh my God.
And two more hard-boiled eggs.
There it is. Okay. All right. For those who don't know me, I'm Brian Lane. This is my 12th year. It's just begun here. A terrifying thought. That's 6 years longer than I ever expected to be here, or really anywhere. It's also 11 years longer than any job I've ever held. Anyway, I'm here to moderate. I'm here as an instigator. I'm here to help the press, with spokesperson questions, deep background stuff, to help our candidates get going. This is the informational sort of town hall, just to announce that we're doing this, so the world knows that we're doing this. Next week or the week after will be a meeting that has a couple more candidates. And here's a quick background. As you know, how many of you are just brand new to campus? Just you, so the rest have been here. Okay, so our previous president we know was a guy named F. King Alexander. Do we know that? We remember that. He left for LSU. When he left, he was chosen at LSU in what was known as a totally secret search. The academic senate at LSU immediately voted no confidence in the process of the search because they had not met with any of the candidates. They didn't know who the other candidates were. The thing got so bad politically that when they were doing when the Board of Supervisors there was, or Board, is that what they call them?
Yeah,
Board of Supervisors was meeting candidates, and there were 30 people on the board, they would split it into 15 each so there wouldn't be a quorum, so they wouldn't have to keep a record. That's how intentionally secret this was, okay? And so when they finally announced the winner of the search, the person who's going to get the job is King Alexander, and people said, who were the other applicants? They said, none. He was the only one, because he was the guy left standing. Secretly, there were at least 30, and 100 to start with, but at least 30, but they didn't want to reveal them. Now, this is a public university. The notion of hiring people secretly is anathema to the essence of what a public university is, or any public institution is, right? When professors come up for tenure or review, there's a posting that'll be downstairs on the wall that says any of you can send in comments, you can whatever. The whole process is public. What's private are certain committee meetings, but the process of a person being out and under review. And every search is a public search. It has to be advertised nationally. That's required by law, right? Anybody can apply. Everybody should know what's going on. Traditionally, what's happened here on this campus is that when we have a presidential search, and we haven't had one since 2005, we all knew who all the candidates were. We knew who the finalists were. They had town hall meetings, like we're starting tonight, where students could go and faculty could go, and we could hear who these people are. And more importantly, what they stand for, what they want to do at the university. This isn't just a matter of coming in and saying, hey, I'm a good speaker, or I'm handsomer than the other guy. And the reason I say that is because we always have white males who get the job. So forgive me, it's been an incredibly biased process all the way along anyway. But nobody just gets hired on the basis of the reality of all they can accomplish because they're selling themselves in a bunch of different ways. So when King Alexander left Murray State, which is the previous presidency, he told the Murray State Board of Regents, you need to have an open search. You need to have all the candidates come to campus. They need to meet with the students. They need to meet with the faculty. They need to be a person of the people. every jurisdiction has different requirements and different necessities, and you may have somebody who's been brilliant in Pennsylvania, but just absolutely inappropriate for Kentucky, where Murray State is. You need to meet, and everybody needs to weigh in. Those are his words. Then he came here, and he got the job in a kind of a semi-secret way by being pushed through his godfather, who was the chancellor. He got hired without anybody vetting his resume, which, as it turns out, had a lot of exaggerations in it, if not outright lies.
Yeah.
And then he moved on to LSU, where he was hired totally in secret. And so a lot of lawsuits have been filed at LSU to try to get the full facts to come out and list all the candidates. Several of the newspapers there filed lawsuits. The judge ruled in favor of ordering that the documents be released, the candidates' names be released, and LSU has refused to honor the court's order. And now the judge is charging them $500 a day. And just so you know how long this has been going down, LSU now owes the court $60,000. They just refuse to do it. And King Alexander himself, the man who in 2005 told the Murray State Board of Regents, you must do this in an open way, you must have people come to campus, is now quoted as saying, no, I wouldn't have applied for the LSU job if people would have known I was applying. Good executives need to keep secret the fact that they're applying for these jobs because they don't want their current employers to know. That might impact their current employment. You guys are all about to go out. How many of you want to be in the entertainment industry, ultimately? So most of you, right? Having been there forever, I come late to teaching. After 20 years in the entertainment industry, nothing happens in secret. It's a tiny little town. If I so much as walk across the street and have a cup of coffee with a guy from another production company or a woman from another production company, my boss knows it, my partner knows it, my wife knows it, my girlfriend knows it, everybody, I make sure you're listening, everybody knows it, my dog knows it, everybody knows it, okay? You learn how to be honest. You learn it's easier to tell the truth, to go back to the boss. And this happened to me actually early on. I was producing a TV show called Remington Steele, and I got 7 studios called me in and said, we want you to come over here because I had made the show a hit. They wanted me to steal me away. Yeah, thank you.
Pretty good show.
Thank you, thank you. It was pretty good, yeah, until I left.
Yeah.
And all these studios had me in, and NPM, where I work, knew about it before I made the meeting. Before I got to the meeting, they knew. And so when they called me in right away, I immediately said to them, I actually went to my supervisor producer, executive producer, and I said, look, I want you to know, I just met over at Paramount today, and I'm meeting at Fox tomorrow, and blah, blah, blah. And it came down to, do you want to keep me on? Do you want me to leverage you for more money or more title? I just want to be honest. I don't want you to hear about it from someone else, kind of thing. And so you learn. And sometimes people are going to be pissed at you and go, you know what, you really need to leave because I consider it disloyalty to talk to anybody. And my attitude was it's like being traded in baseball or being a free agent in baseball. You do it, and then the next week you're competing against some. I was going to go do a show called Heart to Heart over at Columbia, and I was literally going to compete against Remington the next year. And to me, that was like, okay. Well, there were some people at MTM who thought that was total betrayal, and there are others who thought that was totally wonderful, and there are others who thought, oh, good, this is a way to get rid of Brian, and we'll spend more, and we'll make more money ourselves. But you live with the consequences of it. My attitude is you must be honest about these things. And sometimes you go to a boss. When I used to be a lawyer, if you went into your boss when you were a lawyer and said, I'm being wooed by another law firm, the boss would close the door and say, how much do I have to pay to keep you? Depends on the business, depends on the moment, depends on whatever. What perks do you need? Do you need the corner office? Will that do it? Do I have to give you, right? Do I have to up your salary? So it pays to be honest. Don't think you can hide and not be candid and that people won't know. Even just on that level of, you're not going to get away with the lie and nobody respects the lie. So the fact that here we are in a public institution where it's legally required to be public, the notion that things should be kept private is an absurd, is an absurdity, and it's an affront, and it's an affront to you guys. Because what happens is we get a president in, and that president is in charge of the fees and the tuition you guys get charged, and is in charge of the kind of resources that are given to you in terms of classes and equipment, and whatever's offered you, whether you can have a minor, whether you can have a double major, all those things the president's gonna have the final say in. And how dare that person be hired without you being able to say, wait a minute, I want a double major, more than people who want a double major than not, or I want this, or I want that, or I want to stay 5 years and not 4. I want to be able to have more units. This is your education, this is your future, this is your career, you need to have a say in it. So what we've done, in order to make public what has already been announced as a private search, is go to people who would be candidates, Dr. Pounds, Mr. Caraway over here, and say, let's do it ourselves. Let's make it public. Let's have town hall meetings. This is a small one within the context of a class. The next one will be big with a couple of other candidates. We'll have Dr. Mary Celsi, who was Associate Dean of the College of Business Administration, still a professor there, knows educational administration better than anybody. We'll have Craig Smith, who was chair here twice, who was chair in 3 or 4 other departments here, who was a trustee on the California State University Board of Trustees for 2 terms for 4 years. You know, who's got all that covered, who knows every detail of everything. He's gonna potentially be a candidate. He's interested in having the dialogue, and he'll then assess whether he wants to do it based on his other commitments. And we're gonna open up the dialogue. I will tell you our goal. Our goal is to make you guys have a say.